Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Yogi Dave's Hobby Podcast, podcast where I talk about tabletop gaming. So that's tabletop RPGs, war games, skirmish games, board games, not collectible card games because I don't do collectible card games, but everything those other games and the hobbies involved in them encompass. So today I'm going to be talking to Dan Adam. So Dan Adam is the brainchild behind Paint All the Minis. So that's the podcast, YouTube channel, website, Facebook group. Really, really nice guy. It's good talking to him. I've been on his show before. This is him. I suppose this was him doing a callback or a favour back, I suppose, from me. But he does like to help out with other people in the hobby, and I think that's really good. So if you haven't been on Paint All the Minis or listen to the podcast, he's going to hopefully encourage you to do so. So be back in a minute. How you doing, folks? So got Dan Adam here. Obviously Dan is the man behind Paint All the Minis. So thanks for being on the podcast, mate. As I said,
no problem. It's a pleasure to be here, mate.
Yeah, cheers. So we'll get into it now. So first question: how long have you been in the hobby?
Not that long, actually. I think this is my 4th year. So a kind of basic potted history was I really wanted a new hobby. As I kind of got a little bit older, I kind of didn't necessarily want to go to the pub so much and do the kind of traditional kind of young man's things. You know, and I'd always played a lot of sport, and I was kind of getting injured at more and more. So I kind of wanted a different hobby. I tried video games for a little bit of time, which was okay, but I found it was a bit solitary. And not any of my friends played video games. So I was looking for a hobby that I could engage with different people in the country that I was living at the time, which was in America. And I don't know what possessed me, but I just saw a hobby shop and popped into a hobby store and I bought a box of Space Marines, and it kind of took off from there, really. So it was, I wouldn't say it was necessarily random. I wasn't looking for a different hobby, but it was just something that was completely unrelated to anything that I'd done previously, which was an interesting challenge.
Yeah, that's good. That's it's nice to hear how people get into the hobby, because and obviously me, what was it, 31 years now into the hobby, so it's it's a bit different from everyone else that you meet, for the most part. But yeah, that's cool. So you've already answered one of the other questions that I had, so that's cool. And the game or figures that popped your hobby cherry was the other one. So what was about the Space Marines that
I'm not really sure. It was a very strange experience. At the first shop I went into, I didn't actually buy anything. It was a very strange experience. So I just went into a local shop. I drove past it, and I kind of walked in, and there was no one else in there. There was just the shopkeeper, and he was kind of just sitting behind his little desk. I kind of wandered around a little bit, and you try and naturally strike up a conversation, and he just didn't really seem that interested at all. So I had a look around, and I saw like Imperial Guard and Tyranids and a few different things. So I actually left that shop without buying anything. I went to a different shop, and the shop owner was a little bit better and a little bit more positive, coming forward and speaking to me, and he just kind of told me a little bit about Space Marines. I'd done a little bit of research previously because I was kind of thinking about that sort of thing, but I think it's what everyone starts with, or a lot of people start with. It's just this idea of these superhuman guys striding about without a care in the world, bullets bouncing off them, and just this idea of these superhuman figures that were kind of trying to protect humanity, desperately trying to kind of hold back the tides of aliens and things. I think it was a really interesting thing to get into, and it also looked like a really cool painting challenge, with the armor plates and all the different lore behind all the different chapters and things like that. It was just interesting to kind of think about that world for the first time.
That's cool. So what possessed you to start painting all the minis? I mean, was it just random happenstance, or was it actually something that you thought about when you did it?
It was, Paint All These is a painting page, if you're not aware of what it is. So basically it's a place where people can come and share their minis without fear of people judging them negatively or trolling them, or just general negativity, really. So it started from, again, when I picked up these Space Marines, I said, right, I'm gonna pick these up, I'm gonna paint them, and I'm going to try and find someone to play a game with, and I'm going to play 3 games, and I'm going to see if I enjoy it, and if I enjoy it, I'll keep on doing it, and if I don't, then I'll try a different hobby. So Paint With Me started because I obviously enjoyed the painting process, and I played 3 games, and I expanded. I think I picked up the Dark Vengeance box set next, which had a lot more Space Marines in it at the time. I think I picked up the Dark Angel half of that. But I noticed there was a lot of unpainted models in my area. A lot of people would play with either no paint on the models or just base coated. And I really enjoyed the painting aspect and wanted to do the painting aspect. So I started up a little page just for people in the local area, which was Baton Rouge, Louisiana, just to get in contact with people and just to share their work, just a way to kind of stay in contact with each other and share minis. So it started from that. So I had no idea about what I wanted it to be, where I wanted it to go. It just started from this very basic idea of I wanted it to be a place where people could come and share their models and celebrate getting their paintbrushes out.
Yeah, that's cool because I'm a member of quite a number of Facebook groups and all the rest of these things, and you do get a lot of trolls. You do get a lot of people that just want to basically shit all over your work because that's what gets them off. But yeah, that's the thing I love about Paint All the Minis is you don't have that in the group, and if somebody like that turns up, they get found out quite quickly, and bye.
It's about culture. I'm very keen and interested in how cultures are developed and grown and cultivated over time. And it is hard sometimes. It's hard to kind of cultivate that. You have to delete a lot of posts, unfortunately. A lot of people come to the page just to promote themselves or to promote their paint commission business, or as you mentioned, just to kind of be sarcastic or try and get a laugh out of somebody else at somebody else's expense, and so it is difficult at times, and you have to make difficult decisions that other people might not necessarily agree with, but just trying to stay true to this base idea of we all just are doing our thing, painting our minis, and no one's got a right to make anyone else feel bad, and just keeping those basic things there and just trying to make decisions based on that. And it's been amazing to have that resource for people, and it's amazing for me just to look at the amazing minis that come out on a daily basis.
Yeah, it is. I'm happy to see lots and lots of different types of minis and stuff, which is cool because I do have a bit of an eclectic collection myself. It ranges from ancients to World War II, Napoleonics, and all these real world stuff, and then Space Marines and Imperial Guard and Infinity and Malifaux and all these other things. But it's nice to see other people doing that, and also nice to see other people doing different things that I've never done before.
As it evolved and developed out of just people in the local area that were painting, it actually was a different name. It was called Monthly Paint and Fun at first, and probably only about 15 people will know that it was called that because that's what the page started with. It started with 7 people initially, and then it kind of stayed around 15 or 21 for a good few months because it was just local people that were doing it. And when it just naturally started evolving and developing, and we started doing different things, we actually changed the name, and I chose Paint All the Minis very deliberately because a lot of Facebook pages are very specific. There's one certain game or one certain faction within the game, maybe. But I think that kind of limits you. If all you see is the same models and the same things all the time, it kind of gets a little bit stale, a little bit boring. And what I wanted to make sure that we did was to invite a massive variety of different people so we can share things. There's a lot of things that I've learned from 1/35th scale modelers about weathering and chipping and all that kind of stuff, weathering vehicles, and then there's lots of things I've learned from people that paint busts. There's lots of things that I've learned from people who paint sci-fi models. So having it paint all the minis and just celebrating people painting anything really helps to share techniques and share ideas. And you might see a model that you think, wow, what game's that from? And I'll tell you what the game's from, and then you can go and look at it yourself, and it might open up a whole new avenue of the hobby for you. So I didn't see the point in limiting ourselves to just a small area.
Yeah, that is the thing. You can, your one post can be Warhammer or 40k, and then the next post can be, as you said, the 1/35th scale tank or whatever, and then bust, and it's anything and everything, and it will encourage you, it will inspire you. That's what I've found quite a lot of the time. It's like I can't remember who it was posting the. Was it the 1812 or 1812 British? Or was it Canadian? I can't remember. Oh, it was Canadian, wasn't it? Can't remember who it was. But he posted them, and that encouraged me to actually go and paint my Napoleonics. Because I'll be honest with you, I hate painting Napoleonics. It's all the stuff that's on them. It's like it's like Tau as well. I stopped doing commission painting on Tau because I hate painting Tau. So I did the same with Napoleonics. But you know, that inspired me. Seeing the Tau that I've been on it hasn't inspired me to go do any more commissions in Tau right enough. But you know, that's a different thing altogether. But yeah, I mean that's it, innit? You know, you want that inspiration. That again, the same as you said. Everyone seems to limit themselves to either one game system or one manufacturer or stuff like that, and you know, I do quite like the fact that we're doing, you know, we're painting all the minis. You get all that different type of game and figure.
It's just interesting to look at, you know. It's interesting just taking some time just to be like, oh, okay, I've never seen that before. It's just an opportunity to just see something that you might not have even seen unless you're on a group that just celebrated all those different models.
Yeah, well, the first time I saw the Infinity stuff was on Paint All the Minis. I knew people had Infinity in the Pocket Club that I'm a member of, but I'd never seen them play it because, you know, it's up on a website or something like that. Somebody wanted to play Infinity, but you know, that got me talking to the guys that played Infinity, which got me started playing Infinity, which is why I have not bought, because I'm on a ban right now from buying them myself, getting somebody else to do it. Got somebody else to buy them for me for my birthday. But I've got like way more than you need to play a single game, but that's how I do things, which is crazy. But yeah. So what's your current rule set of choice? What is it you're playing right now? For the most part.
I usually keep three games on my rotation, and just to keep things fresh and interesting. I've been playing a lot of a game called V Commandos recently. So V Commandos is it's a World War II espionage game. It's like a stealth game. So what you do is you have a bunch of spies, SOE agents, I guess you would say, and you pick a mission. There's all sorts of different missions and operations, so you pick one, and you have to work through a terrain. Now, it might be to blow up a battleship, or to blow up some flak guns. It might be to infiltrate a chateau and to assassinate a German officer. And so there's different missions that you can do, and there's different levels of difficulty. And the different characters you can pick: a sapper, an officer, a medic, a sniper, and a scout. There's all sorts of different people you can pick, and they have different traits. And so you went to the mission, and you've got to use different action points. It's a co-op game, so you and your friend or whoever's playing can either control one or two commandos, or you can control them all together, and you just work together to try and complete the mission. And so you've got to remain stealthily. If you're not stealthy, the alarm goes off, and more Nazis come onto the terrain and start trying to find you and shoot at you and stuff. So that's a game that I'm really, really loving. But the interesting thing about that is that it doesn't actually come with any minis. Yeah. It's all card token based. So what we've done on Paint All the Minis, Travis from Paint All the Minis has done this. He got the game, we sent him the game, and he used bolt action models to make it a 3D game instead of just being 2D with card tokens. He made it 3D with minis from bolt action. So I've not done that for all of the minis so far. I've just done it with all of the special agents. So I've got the medic and the officer. So I've been playing a lot of that, and it's amazing. And what I really like about it is it's a really deep thinking game. You've got to really think out your strategy. You've got to really think about what you're going to do with your action points. And it's a game that creates lots of interesting decisions at numerous points. And it's great balance because you've never got enough action points to do all the things that you want. So it always comes down to a couple of key turns where you've got to just nip into this room just before the German patrol kind of passes by, or you're in a room and a German patrol comes in, and if I was in a room and the Germans come in, I have to roll a stealth check whether the they see me or not. And so it's just a really, really great game. And every single mission, every single operation that we tried has been a great experience. And it's a massive variety of different things. So yeah, V Commandos is what I've been playing mostly, and converting models for that and painting the models for that. As I mentioned just in the pre-show when we were talking, I've been painting a few Warhammer 40k models, starting off with the first contact box, which is just 15 models. So I've been playing that a little bit and seeing if I can really get into Warhammer 40k. Yeah. And the final game is Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones game, which is a kind of rank and flank game with a tactics deck that you can use that kind of gives your units buffs or nerfs the other ones, and it's also got non-combat units on the side on a kind of action board that you can activate as well. So those are my main three that I've been playing recently.
Cool. I've never heard of V Commandos before. You know that's quite unusual. When I talk to people and they talk to me about games, I'm like, yeah, I've heard of it. Might not played it, but I've heard of it. That's one I've not heard of.
Well, that's the thing, is that I'm always looking for new and interesting things, and an area of gaming that I'm interested in is World War II. I was always a big fan of games like Metal Gear Solid and Assassin's Creed and Hitman on video games, and so that kind of sneaking about and stealth is something that I really enjoy, and it's actually something that I was looking at as an interesting crossover. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, but minis is your bag, the late pledge for an Assassin's Creed game is actually still open. So it's the same company. The company that creates it is called Triton Noir. They are a French-Canadian company. And so the big drawback, in my opinion, for V Commandos was there was no minis in there to paint. So what they did is they've modified and developed the rule set and the IP of Assassin's Creed they've utilised. And so there's a whole new game which is pretty like V Commandos, but with Assassin's Creed miniatures, so the video game with the kind of white-clad assassins and all sorts of, jumping around and free running and parkour stuff. So that's as we talk on the 14th of March, that is on late pledge. So go and check that out, mate. Go and look into it, because I backed it. I backed that, and it comes out. It's late. It comes out in June 2020, but I can't wait for that to come around, because it'll take all the good things from V Commandos, but put it into an Assassin's Creed setting, which will be interesting. But you get loads of minis with it as well, which is going to be awesome.
That's always a bonus, and loads of minis. That's my problem with Kickstarters. Is I always back the ones with loads and loads of minis, and then look at them and go, I have no time to paint this shit.
Yeah, I've just munched through the A Song of Ice and Fire Kickstarter. So that A Song of Ice and Fire was my first Kickstarter. That's the first one that I backed. Yeah. And I came with hundreds, because I don't back many projects, but when I do back them, I try and get everything in there. And it was tough. It took probably about 6 months to go.
Yeah.
It's probably look at like 200, 250 individual models, and it was hard. But I tell you, when you see it now, and when you play fully painted with it, it's a really big achievement to look back and remember and think, I painted all those, and it's worth it.
Yeah, well, I've been, as you know, I've been doing a commission for one of the guys in the Glasgow club that I'm a member of for the start side of the Song of Ice and Fire, or Song of Fire and Ice. I can never remember which way round it is, but never mind. Yeah, I've been doing that, and they're really nice models. But yeah, I mean, I've done 5 Kickstarters now. And the worst one for the amount of models was probably the Zombicide Black Plague. See by Cool Minis or not, but that's the problem, that all the Cool Minis are not. Like the Zombicide and all the rest of those ones, there's always loads of fucking models. Even if you don't buy any of the new, the extra packs, there's always loads of them, and you're like, oh my god. I mean, I bought Conan. I did Kickstart Conan. I kickstarted Zombicide Black Plague, and I kickstarted what's the other one? Massive Darkness. I kickstarted all these, thinking, I'll need all these minis for doing RPGs and stuff, and then we stopped doing medieval or fantasy style RPGs, and I'm like, oops. I've got all these models.
One thing I've noticed though is that you've got to keep hold of what you've got. You know, if you move, I mean, I move around the world. I live internationally, but I kind of cart my minis around wherever I go because they don't go off, they don't go stale. You know, they're not going to go away, and you find that you pick up different games. Another game that I'm really interested in at the moment is Operation Last Train. I'm not sure if you've heard about that, but
No.
but Joe McCulloch, who makes Frostgrave and Ghost Archipelago, and most recently Rangers of Shadow Deep. He's created a community or a charity game project called Operation Last Train.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a little bit like Frostgrave, a little bit like Rangers of Shadow Deep, but in a sci-fi setting.
Cool.
The basic idea is that a group of soldiers have volunteered to visit this planet that's due to be basically exterminated. And it was a big human planet with billions of people, but some bugs have just arrived, and we don't really know who the bugs are or why they're there, but basically they've invaded the planet and killed pretty much everybody, but there's the last few survivors that are still there. So this kind of group of soldiers kind of shows up and they try and save as many people as they can.
Yeah.
And so all you need for that, and the thing that's great about Frostgrave and Joe's games are you can just cobble together minis from any collection. You don't have to buy certain models. And so actually it's sci-fi, so there's different soldier classifications like heavy infantry and light infantry and grenadiers and things, and so as long as you've got some sci-fi models you can put it together and play it, you know.
Yeah.
So you got to keep hold of those minis because there'll be a game that comes along, you don't know when, you don't know how or who will write it, but it'll come along and you add those minis. And I think too many people sell the stuff too quickly. They kind of go with the seasons and either you buy something and don't really play it, or it stops getting played in their area and then they sell it. And if they kept it, you never know what might happen, and a new edition might come out, and then you might love it and use the minis again.
Well, that's the thing. For years and years, I never sold anything. But recently, it's just been right. I sold all my 15mm stuff because I hate painting 15mm, and I stopped playing all the games that I used them with. You know, my Napoleonics, all I do is 28mm. I do skirmish stuff, or I do what's the Warlord one, which I'm not a great fan of. Black Powder. And then the only ancient stuff I do is my samurai stuff, like Ronin and all those kinds of games. So, you know, getting rid of all that 15mm was, well, that's money in my pocket. Let me go to Ireland a couple of years ago to go to a BattleTech tournament because I was skint at the time and I was like, oh, I need money to go to this tournament. But that was good. Let me go over there. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of selling stuff, but I will get rid of. I mean, I've got rid of my Catachans from 40k. There was the 3rd edition army, I think. Just because I've got all the Necromunda stuff. My Empire stuff's getting repurposed for 40k, and then, you know, I've got loads of other figures, so I'm like, well, I don't really need this, I can sell them. But I don't have a problem with stuff that's, you know, weighing you down, you know, right, I'm never going to play with this again because I know that for a fact that I won't play it again. It's like all the 15mm ancient games that I was playing, they just bored me. I got bored of them, and I was like, I don't see myself getting back involved in this, so I'll get rid of that. But yeah,
there's a big market for it, and I've always been really surprised how much people are willing to pay for them. And again, if you're thinking about going back to painting, if you do take that time to paint them very well, there's a lot of people that don't want to paint; they just don't enjoy it, and so, but they want to play with nicely painted figures. So you can actually, there's very few things that I've sold that I've not made a profit on because I take the time to. I don't do it for profit, but when I decide to sell something, you know, I usually make some money on it, which is pretty nice. You know, it's good, and that kind of fuels other purchases. So, you know, as you mentioned, you know, it enables you to do other things. You know, so there definitely is a market there for it. You know, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a fire sale. It can be in your own time and at your own pace and whenever you're ready to.
Well, that's the thing. I've finally moved my stuff out with my mum and dad's. It's been sitting there since me and Fiona moved in the new place a year ago. Yeah. It's literally just over a year ago, and it's like, right, I know this is going, I know that's going, right, I can do it in my own time because it's all going up in the in-laws loft, so, you know, I don't need to I need to sell it at this because the thing which really annoys me about eBay, or other avenues of selling stuff is people are like, oh, but you know, it's not worth this much because it's painted. It's like, it's worth more because it's painted.
Well, it does depend on the quality of the paint, and it depends on the person. It's about finding the right person to buy it. You know, like for me personally, I want to buy preferably unpainted, preferably unassembled, because I enjoy that aspect of it. But yeah, I get it. You know, if you really enjoy painting, it would be worth less, but you wouldn't if you're either interested and you're not. You know, I would never come to you and say, okay, I want your models, and I say, but they're painted, so I'm going to pay you less. I just wouldn't buy it if I wanted them unpainted. You know. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I have had this situation with people I know and have gamed with that have bought something off somebody and said to them, oh, I won't pay this much because it's painted and I'm going to repaint it, but I know for a fact they haven't repainted it. That annoys me. But,
well, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? Is that the person that's selling it could just say no, you know, and you get a lot of chances. You get anything, you know. You think about a second-hand car dealer, you know, traditionally, you know, the kind of wide boys that will tell you anything, and tell you it's the best car in the world, you know. So you've totally got the right to say no if you're selling stuff, you know. I did it just recently with Assassin Aurum Execution Force. So I got the Assassin Aurum Execution Force game ages and ages and ages ago, and I was at a shop and I mentioned to someone that I had it, and they're like, "Oh, would you sell it?" I was like, well, if you know, it's an amazing offer, you know, then yeah, I played it a couple of times. It's an okay game. The assassins are pretty good, you know, it's painted to an okay standard. And then they did the same thing, you know, they asked for some pictures, we kind of loosely agreed a price, and then they kind of started, you know, negotiating downwards and saying, oh, you know, you painted, you played, it's open. So I was like, okay, mate, that's fine. This is the price, it's out of print, it's pretty rare. These assassins are X amount just individually online, and this is the price, and he kept on, and so I just said, no, you're okay, mate, thank you, don't worry about it, because it did annoy me, like you're saying, but then equally, it was just then, it was principle, it's like, nah, I don't want to sell it to you, actually, I'm just going to keep it.
Yeah, that's it though. I've had to do that a few times. I'm like, right, okay, you want to buy it, but you want to buy it for this much, and I've told you it's this much. No, cheers, thanks, bye.
That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's negotiation. It's totally fine to say no, and you don't have to take that price. It's your choice.
Yeah. So, what is your favourite army that you painted up until now?
It's a tough one, that, mate.
It's like asking which one of your friends is your favourite, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like when you look back and you actually think about it. I've painted so much. You know, I was very fortunate to have got some friends who have got a wide variety of different tastes in games. I'd probably say my all-time favourite was my US Team Yankee army, I would say.
Really?
So Team Yankee is 15 mil kind of Cold War game.
Yeah.
And I just loved that. I love that scale.
Mm-hmm.
And when I picked up Team Yankee with like the A-10 Warthogs and the Cobra helicopters and the Abrams tanks, you know, it was just, I don't know, it was just a really great, refreshing experience, because I think that was one of my first experiences of 15 mil.
Yeah.
So it was a completely different scale. I think I also enjoyed it because that was one of the first armies I had my airbrush for.
Right.
So it was new skills as well. And so I was picking up new skills. I really started working on weathering. I mentioned it before about, you know, picking up a lot of tricks and techniques from 1/35th scale. So when I was painting these 15 mil tanks, I was working on pigments and weathering and chipping. And so I think it was not necessarily my all-time favourite in terms of the game or all-time favourite paint jobs, but I think it was just a lot of things came together at that time. It was new scale, it was interesting models that I kind of liked for a long time, and it was the airbrush and, you know, putting putty on as kind of templates for the camouflage and things. So yeah, I think it was a Team Yankee Force. It was really interesting, that one.
That's cool. Not one that I have actually ever come across at this point. I think I've seen it played once or twice at shows. So like the Falkirk show up in the Carronade show. I've seen it played a couple of times there, but it's Cold War and it's again 15mm. I look at it and go, nope.
Yeah.
Probably the same. Probably a similar reason for why you like it and I don't like it is, you know, it's something different. Whereas when I first started playing, I played 6mm with Space Marine really. See the Epic 40k before it was Epic 40k, but I was kind of in between with Titan Legions and the original not Titan Legions, the original Adeptus Titanicus and the second edition. So I started out playing that myself, painting myself. Was really that was the first stuff I painted myself. My dad painted all my other stuff before that, and then I started getting into painting really 28. But I hate painting. I hate painting figures that way. And then
it's a little easier because it's smaller in some ways. I didn't like painting the infantry at all.
Yeah.
It was more the kind of the vehicles, and I like the scale because you get to play with more cool toys. One thing that I don't like about some tabletop 28mm scale is sometimes the board is a bit congested, even if you're playing on a 6x4. And if you think about the amount of equipment in a small area of a battlefield, the tactics go away because there's too much stuff there. Whereas with 15mm, it's kind of zoomed out a little bit, so you can get more tanks, you get more cool equipment that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get on a 28mm scale.
Yeah.
And that smaller scale enables you to get done a little bit quicker because there's just literally less surface area to paint. And the scale kind of lends itself to, being a little bit more slapdash sometimes. You can get decent effects a little easier because, again, it's smaller and further away, the details are smaller. So, it's interesting because everyone's got different things they like and dislike. But I don't know, a lot of things came together on that project that I enjoyed.
Yeah, well, I just did a 15mm commission just before Christmas. It was for the guy's Christmas present, funnily enough, from his wife. It took me 10 hours to do it for just under 100 figures, and I think about it, and it'd probably be about 10 times that for that many 28 figures. So I mean, I do like the 15mm and 20mm for the smaller scale when you're doing stuff. I mean, obviously, having started out playing Epic, I like the little scale, but it's just the painting it that drives me crazy.
Yeah, infantry, I agree with you big time. Infantry is a real pain. Especially you got this little guy, and you usually got 6 on a base, and it's rough. But that's an interesting challenge.
Yes, no, that one was what was it, 12 to a base because it was pike. This little square base, you're trying to fit them on. You try to do a decent pacing job, and you're like, nope, this isn't working. Yeah. But what has been your favourite game that you've played so far? That's one. Difficult question.
It's like there's so many that jump out. Again, I've been very fortunate to have picked up and played a lot of games.
Yeah.
There's a few that jump out to me. When I first played Bolt Action, that was really good. Really enjoyed playing Bolt Action, the World War II game. Really enjoyed playing that. Silver Tower was something. Warhammer Quest Fantasy game. Silver Tower is really interesting. I'd probably say the Song of Ice and Fire game, and the reason why that is because it's recent and I played it a lot. I'm very fortunate to play every week. So that's kind of always high on our rotation whenever we're thinking about playing games. It's always should we play a game of that? But again, it's similar to my Team Yankee kind of answer. It's a lot of things came together. And it's a great game in itself, in my opinion. I think it's a really interesting game. It's something that's really engaging. It's something. One of the things. What I liked about it most is we didn't spend too much time with our noses in the rule book.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a game last night where it claimed that it had a cheat sheet, but then all it said on the cheat sheet was look at page 52 of the rule book, and it just directed you to the rule book. And then after this, it'd give you a basic rule on page 52 of the rule book, and then it'd say for more advanced rules go to page 76. And so you spent your time just looking through the rule book, bouncing backwards and forwards, and it seems like an okay game overall, but it was just annoying that you had to bounce through the rule book. So what I found with A Song of Ice and Fire is that it really held your hand through those early games. It gave you a set of cards for each of the unit stats and gave you those, so all the information you needed was right in front of you. It had a genuine cheat sheet. It wasn't even a cheat sheet, it was a card, like a big card with just the basic rules on either side. and because it held your hand through those early games, it just ingratiated the game to us and made us enjoy it from the very, very start. Another thing was that my friend who I was playing with, this was at the start of the year when I just moved to my new place, and so it was one of the first games ever, tabletop games that he'd played.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was my favourite game ever is because it was a great experience for us both, because we were both learning together. So I had the Starks and the Lannisters, and so we would just switch armies every game.
Yeah.
And so we'd have some great conversations after the game, because we were both playing both armies. We were just switching around, we were finding different things that we liked and we disliked. We really enjoyed the missions, really enjoyed the game, really enjoyed the depth. You know, the tactics depth I mentioned previously is really interesting, adds a different dynamics to the game.
Yeah.
The NCUs add a completely different aspect to the game on the side as well. And so that is my favourite game that I've ever played. Not just because of the game, but like I said, the exploration and the journey that both of us were doing on a regular basis. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I have played a couple of times. Both times I've played, I've been Starks, and I've got beat. But you know, that is just, that's been, I think, a lot to do with dice rolls and tactics and stuff, rather than the fact that the Starks are actually bad, because you know they've got good parts and bad parts, and I quite enjoyed it. The guy I played, the guy that got it on the Kickstarter, he wasn't a great fan of the rules. He wanted to use other rules for the figures, which is fair enough, but I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was quite a nice set of rules, and you're right. It's a little rule book, and it's easy to learn once you've got it down. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the Starks. I like the Starks. The Starks are all or nothing. You can't be conservative. You've got to, and I like that as well, because it's kind of true to the lore of Game of Thrones. You know, you've got it's desperation, and you've got to throw yourself forward. And the Lannisters are a lot kind of better equipped, and they're kind of stronger in terms of like a long drawn out battle, and they can kind of erode the Starks away. So Starks, it's all kind of gung ho. You've got to go forward, and it's you've got to win or you just get smashed. Basically, it's never a tie. You know?
No, really there's always one clear winner in that game. The thing I loved about it the most was the Umber rules. They get more dice the less figures they've got in their unit. It's like, right, okay.
The Berserkers. Yes, they get angry, and so I find when I was playing Lannisters, it's like I don't want to touch those guys, because if I don't kill them, they're just going to get angry and they're just going to hit me back really hard. So I'll leave them alone.
Well, that's the one unit that takes the most out. It's not the Sworn Swords or the Riders or anything like that. It's the Umbers. They're like smash. Took out a Mountain Man unit in like 2 turns. It's like, woohoo! But yeah, I do enjoy that game. Talking about World War II, have you ever tried Chain of Command, the Two Fat Lardies game?
It's on the rotation. I'm writing an article at the moment. It's going to come out the back end of this year, and it's called World War II on a Budget.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I bought some Plastic Soldier Company late war British infantry and late war German infantry and the heavy weapons team. So I forget how much that was, but it was less than £100, maybe £60. Yeah. And so what I'm trying to do with that set is I'm trying to play as many different World War II games as possible. So these are 15mm figures, which you'll be delighted to hear. But it's like a little experiment for me. So it's like saying, right, if I take £60 and buy £60 worth of models, how many games can I play with? So I've done Bolt Action 15mm, I've done Battle Group 15mm, and Chain of Command is actually on my wanted list. It's kind of next on there. It's Rich is someone I spoke to for the podcast. Rich, he seems like a really, really nice guy, and it seems a really interesting game. It seems like something that's really deep. It seems like something that's a new take on things. Yeah. I really like the patrol phase. Have you played it yourself? Have you played? Yeah.
I prefer it to Bolt Action, to be perfectly honest with you. I found it's maybe just the players I played Bolt Action with, but they very much minimised the units, but there was no, the units are minimised, but there's no morale issues on that, and it's like, well, especially the German players I played, and it, they'll take the minimum amount of infantry with the maximum amount of MGs, and MG42s in it, the light, so they'll maximise that, but they've got no morale penalties, whereas if that happened in Chain of Command, they'd have lots and lots of morale issues. minimum infantry, maximum MG42s. So that, I think, is the thing that probably is the reason I love what's it called? Chain of Command, and the difference between that and what's the Napoleonic one, or the Black Powder one?
Sharp Practice.
Yeah, Sharp Practice isn't too historical. You know, there's the historical part of it, but there's also the story part of it. Whereas with Chain of Command, it's historical. It's more historical, I feel, than the bolt action games I've played. So I don't know. It's the weird yin and yang. You know.
I like both of them. I think they've both got their own merits. I think bolt action is more of I can compare it to like a comic book. It's more like a comic book battle. It's which is nothing wrong with that. I think it's a great game. I love the mechanic, the Yugo Aigo, not the Yugo Aigo, dice draw kind of mechanic, and there's lots of things that I like about it. But yeah, Chain of Command seems a lot more historical set. And having spoken to Rich about it, his argument was that it's about playing the era. Yeah. So he actually does a lot of stuff to do with military history and things like that. So he knows his history, he knows forces composition and things like that, and so he just focuses on that and playing great scenarios and making sure that the lists are not necessarily historically accurate, but it's what the unit compositions would have been, and it doesn't necessarily allow you to doctor it. It's kind of like what was there, and because it's what was there, it's kind of more balanced because it's what kind of happened and what is there. There's no tinkering around with it.
Yeah, the thing I like about it as well is you're not going to have Tiger tanks. You're not going to have big, massive tanks running about the battlefield in numbers, which, again, the thing that annoyed me about bolt action was, you get players that will bring all this heavy stuff, and you're like, well, there was like one of them in the whole of the theatre. Or, they'll bring Nebelwerfers, and you're like, well, a Nebelwerfer, even if you had an 8x4 table, it'd be out of range. Its minimum range would be, 12x4 or something like that. And you're like, I mean that is my thing about that. But I mean, I do like the bolt action mechanic, the dice drawn thing, which is again one of the things I like about the Sharp's Practice. It's you're either drawing cards, or you're drawing tokens, and it's not always going to be Ago Yugo, which I think even Games Workshop are trying to get away from that as much as they can, in the combat phase of 40k and Age of Sigmar. It's not always going to be the side that it's their turn that does all the fighting right away. That's what I think. I
find it personally a little boring. Yeah. I'm not having a pop at any games. There's great games that I've played where you move all of your guys and someone else moves all their guys. Yeah. But personally, I've got the experience of when I've been taking my turn, people have left and gone to talk to somebody else. Yeah. So if you're playing a game and someone's left the table to go and talk to someone else, that says that the game isn't as interesting as it should be. Yeah. And that never happens with A Song of Ice and Fire. It never happens with Bolt Action. It never happens with V Commander. It never happens in the games that I love the most. And maybe that's because I'm playing with different people. Yeah. But I like a game that maintains your level of interest, and you never feel the need to just go and do something else for 10 minutes while someone else does whatever they've got to do. It's that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, well, I mean we've talked about Malifaux and Battletech on your podcast before. That's one of the reasons I love both of them. Is because Malifaux I take my turn with one figure, then you take your turn with another figure, unless you're chaining. In which case, if you're chaining figures, then you've got less figures to go once you've done that, so it's using that chaining as a tactical advantage, and as like with Battletech as well, it's I move one, you move one, or whatever, depending on the force sizes. So
there's a game that I'm putting together over the next month or so. I'm just kind of waiting to get models in hand and get the table set up, and that's called Moonstone. And the melee mechanic with that is is really interesting. Where, say, if I charge you, we will both draw a number of cards from a pile, from a melee pile, and on that in that deck is a set of attacks and defense things. So, for example, a high block or a low block, or a high sweep or a thrust. So there's different attacking moves and different defensive moves, and usually the rule of thumb is that if I'm attacking you, I get to draw more cards, so I've got more choices. And so basically what you have to do is you have to choose an action, and then depending on the result of those actions, so for example, if I do a low sweep and you do a low block, then you block my move and there'll be no damage. Whereas if we both do a thrust, then both of us will take damage. And so that seems like a really interesting game, and it's one that I really want to get into, because I think I just like interesting mechanics. I like things. I mean, I like rolling dice, but if you roll the dice, you don't really do so much. And there's certain games that you play, and it's not really down to you as a player. It's down to just roll a fistful of dice, and if you kill somebody, it's probably just down to the stat line of that model, as opposed to too much that you've done. So, you know, you obviously have to move that model and have to get it into the right fights at the right times, but I like games like, going back to what I was saying about V Commandos, I like games that make you think, I like games that make you choose and make you make a decision, and again, and that's why I like A Song of Ice and Fire, is that there's a lot of decisions to be made, and there's a lot of possibilities, and there's a lot of options, and you're always trying to think ahead and think about what you could do next, or what you need to prevent next, and so I find I like games that make you think a lot more.
Yeah, I mean that again, that's one of the reasons I love the mechanic for Malifaux and Through the Breach, and the new one, the other side. It's the card mechanic, so you know it's dependent on, you know, you're doing what you want to do, but you have to think about it, because if you don't have the cheat hand right, you know, if you pull a card and it's really low, it could be messy for you. But you know, that kind of different mechanic is one of the things I love about that. I think it's also the reason I like Infinity as well, because it's the D20 system, so it's not D6, so there's more of a chance of you passing or failing. But there's also the fact that even if you've got 3 dice and the defender's got 1 dice, if his dice is on his armour save or Ghost Dice armour save, and your dice rolls are all lower than it, then you know you still miss. Doesn't matter how many times you hit your target. If his armour target is got and it's higher than your rolls, then that's your tough luck. I mean, it's a different mechanic. I mean, that's it at the end of the day. What I find interesting. That's so yeah, it's always interesting to see different mechanics, because you know, obviously I started out with Games Workshop games and then historical games, and it's always been D6, and it's always been, you know, dependent on what dice you roll on and your factors and stuff like that. So it is. And
I think there's definitely a place for it, you know, and it's something that we're all comfortable with. It's something that makes you maybe more likely to pick up a game. If you know that it uses D6, you can presume that it's a certain number to hit and a certain number to kill and a certain number to this, that. You know, it's comfortable. You know, it's like a pair of slippers. You can easily slip it on. But you know, it's interesting to see innovation, and it's interesting to see new things that come out. Another thing that happens in Moonstone is they have a magic deck. So when you're looking to cast a spell, again, similar thing. You draw a set of cards, and what you've got to do is you've got to play a certain number. There's certain colours, and then each colour has a certain number, and so certain spells need certain colours and certain numbers initiate certain damage. So if I wanted to do, I don't know, a fireball spell, for example, and it needed a blue card, I think it's 1, 2, and 3. So I put a card face down and say, this is a blue 3, and I could be lying, I could be bluffing. It could not be a blue 3 at all. But if you accept it, then that damage occurs regardless of whether that was a card or not. And I don't need to tell you if it was a blue 3 or not. But if you call it and say, no, it's not, because you pull a hand of cards too, and you might have the blue 3. So if I play it and say, this is a blue 3, you go, no, it's not, then something negative happens to me, like a miscast. So that in itself is interesting too. And you know, it just seems like a much more interesting way of doing magic. You know, some say, okay, right, I'm going to cast a fireball at you, I need to roll and get a 7. And idea of having some cards and trying to bluff and trying to lie, maybe, or maybe not lying for a long time, and then suddenly just doing it once at a really important time in a game. I don't know. It just lends some great possibilities to that, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to playing.
That's cool. Have you ever played any tabletop RPGs or anything like that? That was another, or something different from, the board game.
No, I haven't really. Something that I've seen from afar.
Yeah.
The shop in Baton Rouge that I live near to. A lot of people used to do D&D there, and D&D in America is massive.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I've ever had too much of an interest in. I think kind of being, maybe, I don't know what you're like, you play them right, but being kind of a little bit conservative and a little bit shy, and that seems strange to have a podcast and say that, but I think I'm naturally like a more of a shy person, more of a quiet person. And I don't know this idea of like sitting at a table and kind of taking on a role. I don't know. It's also time as well. A lot of people say they think it's a lot of time to play them and things like that. It's something I considered, but I don't know. It's just maybe it would take someone who's experienced in that area to kind of show me the ropes, and maybe I'd love it or what. I don't know, but not at the moment.
No. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was quite shy, both when I was in like high school and stuff. It wasn't until I started wanting to do that I was actually as loud as I am now. But yeah, I mean, I played RPGs for not as long as I played war games and stuff, but it's a good long time. And yeah, I mean, I started out this with a group that were friends of mine, so that's always been a thing. But I have started organising a new group in Glasgow, and every one of them, if they've got 30 hours worth of experience RPGs between them, they'll be lucky, which is kind of interesting for me. I'm also going to be the oldest one at the table, which, that'll be a new thing for me as well. It's like everyone's younger than me and they've all got very little experience, and it's interesting because I've had to change the way that I do things, so I always try and get everyone involved as much as I possibly can in any RPG I do, but also what I normally do is write my own campaigns. With this one, it's like, right, I have to actually have this to hand. I can't do anything on the fly as much as I do in my own campaigns, because obviously it's my own world and I can do what I want with it. But with that, I've got players that are experienced. I might have players that aren't as experienced, but with this one, it's going to be. I've chosen, the Forgotten Realms from D&D lore at all.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so I've chosen the Waterdeep campaign from their Adventure League. So it's for their players basically. So I chose that because I'm like, well, it's interesting. It's in the Forgotten Realms, and it's I'm looking forward to it, but it's going to be weird. But yeah, you do. I don't know whether you have to have a little bit of flair to be a D&D player, and a little bit of oomph and get up and go, but it helps. But yeah,
I think people I've spoken to about it previously, they kind of say about putting on an accent. So the guy I was talking to about it heavily, he was saying that he played a dwarf, and so he would practice his Scottish accent, and so his dwarf would have a Scottish accent and things. And I don't know. I think it's fine if like you're into it and like you're full of energy and you're excited and you're pumped, But on a dark Tuesday night in the middle of winter, I don't know. Maybe sometimes you won't be feeling it as much. I don't know. It's something I might do in the future. Maybe it might be something that's great to do with my daughters. I've got 2 young daughters now, and maybe as kind of they get a little bit older, you can kind of create these worlds and talk about things. Maybe that would be something that would be good for us to do together. Maybe. Yeah.
No, that is. You do see. I'm seeing it more and more. Obviously, with me just starting being on Twitter in the last couple of months, seeing more and more people who are starting their kids out gaming by using RPGs, which is quite interesting to me. Because obviously, me myself, I was brought into the hobby by my dad, but I see a lot of people who started later in life, and then there was no parental support. They didn't seem to be interested in their kids' hobby, so you know, it's also something that you used to see when I actually went to Games Workshop on a Saturday. A lot of people would drop their kids off and just leave them for 5 or 6 hours in the hands of the staff, and it's like, well, take an interest in what your kid's interested in. That's the thing. That if my kids wanted to be in whatever hobby they'd be in, they wanted to get into it, and you know, throw myself into it as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit. The reason why I might think about that is this idea of creativity. I think that creativity is something that's really important. I think imagination and creativity are essential skills. And you know, I work in education. I love education, but I think sometimes schools don't do a great job of fostering that imagination. I think sometimes they try and cut it out of you. You know, if you daydream, stop daydreaming. You do your math work. You know, and so I think it's essential to be imaginative and to be creative. I think it makes you come up with different solutions to problems, and so maybe like a D&D campaign, maybe some RPG games might be an interesting way to share time together and you know, create some good times, but also maybe to kind of make sure that you've got a great imagination, you know, as you become an adult.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, you know, I grew up in Roman Catholic schools, and the imagination was not encouraged. Let's just say, so you know, I had to put it somewhere. So yeah, I mean that is, you know, gaming has had that thing for me. That's why I do what I do, and you know, why I write and why I do anything really, because anything that's not work related is, you know, it's imaginative. It's
I think it's a disconnect for me. You know, as I sit here painting and talking to you, I'm not because I am particularly stressed or anything like that. I love my job. I'm very fortunate to love my job, but it's still great to get a complete disconnect from it. You know, I don't know how long we've been talking, but for the duration that we've been talking, I haven't thought about anything that I'm thinking about at work. Whereas if I'm sitting watching telly, you know, it naturally just crosses your mind at times. Yeah. So I just love this hobby because it's just a complete and utter disconnect from anything else that I'm doing, and it makes me go back to other things completely refreshed and ready to go again.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people use the hobby to disconnect as well, though. I mean, that's another thing that I found, you know, talking to people more with doing the podcast and doing the YouTube channel and everything. It's and Twitter and everything is. A lot of people use the hobby as stress relief because of various things in their life, and that's interesting because I've never thought about it that way. I've always just been like, oh, it's my hobby, it's what I do. I've never really had to think about it until now, about what it has been a stress relief for lots of different reasons, but yeah, that is, and we've been talking for nearly an hour, by the way. So, I'm
just painting away, Matthew. But life is stressful, and I don't necessarily want to get into kind of deep philosophical stuff, but there's a lot of people that are unfulfilled in their lives for various reasons. You know, there's times where I've been grumpy, disgruntled, you know, stressed out about certain things, and hobbying has helped that, you know. And I think there are some fundamental issues in society as it is. You know, if you just think about just Brexit, for example, you know, just thinking about that for 20 minutes makes me really angry and disappointed. And so, you know, painting is a way to completely. I love it because my whole world is just shrunk to the size of the length of my arms. You know, under my lamp and the length of my arms, and everything just shrinks down. I'll speak to someone, or I'll put some music on, or I'll put a podcast on, and I'll just do it. It's really, really interesting to just do it. It's really kind of, I just lose myself for however long that I'm painting, you know, or playing for, and it's just really cool.
Yeah, that is. I mean, as you say, it is what it is for you. That's the thing that I have always said, that why you do your hobby is a personal thing to you.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's cool. So, if you could play an old rule set from any point during gaming history, what would you like to play?
Oh, that's a good question, Andy. That's a good one. I might steal that one, and that's next on my next one. I'd probably... What would I like to do? I'd probably like to go right the way back to, like, first edition, like Rogue Trader. I think that's got to be a big call for lots of people. And I'd like to go back to like that era, not just pick it up and play it now. I'd like to go back in time to that point. I'd like to counter it early, because I'd love to see how it develops, because it's a little bit like kind of, you know, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where you kind of know that something bad in the future is going to happen, but this kind of Terminator set back in time, and so it'd be nice to kind of go back knowing what Games Workshop is now, but going back and seeing those first steps and seeing what it's like and experiencing something different for one of the first times, and that would be really interesting, I think.
Yeah, well, I actually have Rogue Trader. Have you seen my blast from the past when I was tidying up my room the other day? Well, my old room the other day. No, it's on Twitter. I found
okay, I'll check it out.
I found my Rogue Trader copy. It is dog-eared and completely screwed, but I would still not sell it for love nor money, because it's
because have you played it?
Oh yeah, I played it back in the day. I was like,
is it good? Is it actually good? Did you enjoy it?
Well, yes and no. It's good for what? It's good for doing skirmish stuff and building your own stuff and all the rest of that kind of stuff. It's really good for that. But if you want a polished war game, not so much. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But you know, it's good fun. It's good to go back every now and again and have a game of that, or second edition. Don't go back and do third edition because I hated that edition. But third and fourth, I played a little bit of third and fourth, and then that stopped me playing 40k until the last edition. Yeah, no, it's got its bonuses and it's got its good things, but it's also got its that's giving me a sore head. But that was the same for Warhammer of the era, you know. It had the same kind of stuff. And the thing with I've always thought about Rogue Trader is it's kind of a mix of Warhammer and an RPG in many ways. You know, obviously you have Warhammer RPG, and you never had a 40k RPG until they brought out Dark Heresy, I want to say 10 years ago, but it's probably more than that. But yeah, that's what I always thought after second edition came out, was when you look back and actually see Rogue Trader, because I think there was about a 3 or 4 year period in between them stopping releasing Rogue Trader and actually having second edition out. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I might be talking through my arse. That happens a lot. But yeah, there was a big gap in between second and Rogue Trader. So when you go back and you think second edition was not a bad set of rules. That's what the original Necromunda was based on. So, you know, it is a good set of rules, but it is a more polished set of rules than obviously Rogue Trader was. But it's got its good parts and its bad parts.
Yeah, I think it's more this idea that, you know, I'd like to see what was around at that point. You know, I know obviously Dungeons and Dragons was a thing. You know, that was the whole point. You know, it's like they had to include the RPG elements because that's what people were more comfortable with. But I think it's just this idea that it was maybe something new, and it was the start of something that we know is a big deal right now. And it'd just be interesting to see the kind of first formative steps of that, and who was behind it, and what was happening, and how was it advertised, and who were playing it. And you know, it kind of felt like, from looking back at it, and I've not done so much research into it, but it seems to be like a little bit of a cult thing, you know, a little bit of a, you know, an underbelly kind of thing that, you know, people didn't really know. And I've seen pictures of people kind of like lining up outside the Games Workshop, looking for the models, and there's only a certain amount of models available and things like that. I bet it'd be interesting just to see how it develops and grows and things like that, you know.
Well, you know, Games Workshop was originally put together for the UK distribution of D&D. Yeah, so you know, obviously those guys have played D&D and everything, and then you know, they distributed and then started all their own stuff. But it's also Ian Livingston and Steve Jackson, not the Steve Jackson from Steve Jackson Games. Was it Brian Ansell that started Games Workshop? You know, back in the day. So the guys that did the Final Fantasy books, and Brian Ansell who started it all the way back then. You know. You know, I do know a little bit of the history. I can never remember it all off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean the thing with, I think it's every edition of 40k and Warhammer have had, or even Epic, have had a bit of a cult following, and people will stop playing a game on a particular edition because they don't like this next edition, and all they're going to be playing is the next edition. I mean, I have had that. I don't dispute that fact that it's happened to me, but I've also gone back. I've also come back to the hobby and gone, well, actually, this is not a bad set of rules. I mean, I played Age of Sigmar when it first came out, and I was like, this is a mess. It felt like it was just slapped together. But then, 6 months ago, I played the game again, and I thought, well, actually, this is not a bad set of rules. It's just because they never had the points costs back when it first came out, which they didn't have with Rogue Trader either back in the day, because you obviously had to put it back all together yourself. But it's still, I don't know.
It's the thing is that the great thing about all these games is that there's a wide variety of different people who like different things, and some people love one game and some people don't like other games, and that's the thing again, it kind of coming back to the ethos of Paint All the Minis, is that whatever you decide to do, if you're enjoying it, then that's totally legit and it's totally fine to do so. And there's a lot of people that are very, very quick to say, bad game, worst game ever, and it's one thing having an opinion, and it's great to have an opinion, but then equally, some people, it's like films, there's some terrible films that I love, and I look at film reviews and it says worst film ever, but then it's one of my favourite films ever. So it's great that there's such a wide variety of games and a wide variety of different rule sets, and that we have. It's just great that we have the opportunity, because if there's only ever one game, then it'd be boring. It's great that there's so many different games that we can access to have those opinions. It's really good. Yeah,
terrible movies that I used to love. Flash Gordon.
I
think that's on everyone's list, really, isn't it? Flash Gordon is terrible. But it's so terrible, it's good. But I mean, did you ever see some of the videos from back in the day when Sigmar first came out? People burning their collections because I'm never selling this to anyone, because Age of Sigmar, it's like, play another game for God's sake. You've spent thousands of pounds on these figures, and paint thousands of hours, maybe not thousands of hours, because not everyone's like me and pedantic and a pain in the arse about it, but you've spent hundreds of hours painting this, and you've just set it on fire.
It's your stuff, do what you want with it. But I remember the same. I saw a guy that burned his Empire army, and I just my first thought was, just play Kings of War.
Exactly.
Just play that.
Play Kings of War, play Ninth Age, play something. Just don't burn it. You could completely not
you could just carry on playing the rule set that you've been playing up to this point. I don't know.
Well, there's an entire community of gamers that have, the Ninth Age guys. They've continued on with the previous edition of Warhammer, but started doing their own thing with it. Obviously, they can't call it the names that are in Warhammer and everything, but excuse me. The thing with the change from Warhammer Age of Sigmar, it was a copyright thing, because they changed all the names. It's the same for 40k. It's not the Eldari anymore. It's the Eldari or something. I can't even pronounce half the bloody names. But that's probably just my accent. I can't even wrap it around it. But that is. It's one of the reasons they brought out the Primaris Marines, I think, as well, because they try to do somebody for copyright for Space Marine, because they try to say they own the copyright for it, and then they were
and I get it. I think they're brilliant at what they do. I think you just need to look at how the profit margin, for this last quarter of last year, they're absolutely crushing it in terms of making money, and I think that is their prerogative. That is what they're looking to do, and the models are amazing, and they're doing their thing, which is fantastic. And if you're into that, that it's amazing too. It's I get it. But one thing that's really new to me that I'm kind of just starting to do as I kind of get comfortable in a hobby is tinker around with rules. Mm-hmm. Tinkering around with rules is something that I've never really thought of doing, but I find myself doing it more and more, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking a rule set and saying, well, I like this, but don't like this, and then just changing it. It means that you won't ever be able to go to tournaments, but then I don't ever really see myself going to do that anyway, so it's no loss for me.
Well, that's the thing. The only tournaments I ever do are Malifaux and Battletech. but that's because they're fun. That's the only time I've ever been to a Games Workshop tournament was Warhammer. It was a regional. I can't even tell you how many years ago. I'm that old these days. I feel old feeling anyway. Old in the game. I'm only 36. It's not that old. But yeah, I mean, but my dwarf army, there's some of the figures that are only a couple of months younger than me, so they had never seen half these figures before, and like, oh, they're not official figures, and I've had to go, oh no, they are official figures. You have to, because what is that website that's got is it the Legends of Gaming thing with all the old Citadel models on it, actually, and this is just after dial-up, so having to go through it to show them that these figures, and I was like, do you know what, this isn't fun. There's no point in, I mean, obviously with Battletech and Malifaux you have to use the official figures, but it's obviously the official figures because nothing looks like what these look like, sort of, but you know what I mean. And I get it. It's an industry. It's, you know, they need to make money. They need to make ends meet. You know, they need to make a profit. You know, I completely get it and understand. And it's not for me to say that a company is out of order for releasing so many models or so many rule sets and things like that. You know, I think there's pros and cons to it. You know, but I think ultimately you do what you want to do, and as long as you are enjoying it, it doesn't matter what game you play. If you stick with Ninth Age and play Ninth Age forever, if you play Kings of War, if you play Age of Sigmar, it doesn't matter as long as you're having fun. Yeah,
and engaging with it on a level that you're excited with. Then it don't matter what you do.
Yeah, that is the thing. You know, you have to be having fun. That's what I say to people when they're like, "Oh, I'm not having fun playing this game." It's like, well, go play something else. Go. I mean, I know you spent X amount of money on these figures, but there's another game that you could go play it. There's no point in you not having fun doing the hobby. I mean, that's why I get upset by gatekeepers and stuff like that, and a community. It's like, well, it's not for you to say how somebody else plays the game. It's for them to say how they play a game. It's not up to you to say who gets to play a game either. It drives me absolutely crazy, but you know.
It's also down to like how we interact with stuff, isn't it? You know, it's something that I've seen not just in wargaming. I'm a big fan of golf. I wish I had more time to play golf, but I had a friend who we said we were going to play golf, and we just set about it in two completely different ways. I went to a charity shop and bought some crappy old clubs that had been in someone's garage for 10 years for like 20 quid, whereas he went to the sports shop and spent like 800 quid on some really good clubs. And so we went to our first game, and he was like, "What are you doing with them?" I was like, "Well, I'm still learning. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it. So what's the point in spending 800 quid when I can spend 20? If I like it, then I can then eventually get an upgrade in my clubs." So we both had the same experience, but it was just I went about it in a completely different way, and eventually it didn't stick with us. And so he then sold his clubs and lost a massive amount of money. But if that made him happy and he had that money to spare, that's fair enough. But to me, I was like, what an absolute waste. So again, like I mentioned about 40k, I picked up the first contact box. It's only got 15 models, and I think it was about £20. And I'll play it and tinker around with it, and if I enjoy it, it'll escalate. You know, and if I enjoy it again, it'll escalate. And if I enjoy it again, it'll escalate again. And until it becomes not interesting or exciting or engaging, I'll keep on doing it. And if it doesn't, I'll just do something else. You know, and that's how it kind of should be. But it's not how I find people usually get into it. Usually you go into it and they're kind of not necessarily railroaded, but you go into a Games Workshop store and they're all over you saying, "Hey, you should get this and get this Battle Force or get this starter box," and before you know it, they're putting hundreds and hundreds of pounds worth of models in your hand, which I understand because that's what they are. It's a retail industry, but I don't know. I think we all maybe buy too much too soon before we know we like it.
I mean that's the thing. Having been involved in the hobby for a long time, I can go into Games Workshop and go, "No, I'm looking for what I'm looking for. I'm not going to go buy this." But I do understand that, and I know people who've worked for Games Workshop that are like, "Well, we are set on what we've got to sell this month. You know, if it's the latest models or if it's this amount, that or that." And it's like, yeah, fair enough, and I understand that. It's the same with the sort of the intellectual property stuff. I mean, I'm a writer, so I'm acutely aware of IP. So I understand that, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm doing that. I don't have sometimes I have a problem with price, but I also understand why prices are the way they are. But it's like you can't complain about it.
No, it's a retail business. Any retail business. If you go to any retail business, they'll have targets. Yeah. They'll have set ideas, but then again, it comes back to what we said about buying stuff secondhand. You don't have to buy it. Yeah. If everyone said this month this is like I'm not going to buy any minis, then stuff would change because a company needs to sell stuff to carry on being viable. But I'm not saying that should happen. But you don't have to do anything. Yeah. You do what you choose to do. Yeah. I don't like to be negative. I don't like to kind of say people doing it wrong. I think because it's not my place to do it whatsoever. But it's just very interesting to see how different people go about different things and how that's sold to us as players. And I bumped into a lot of people who spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the games that they never play. Yeah. And again, if something, because I get it, because just looking at models sometimes makes me really happy. Just looking at a collection, just getting them out, even if I've not even assembled them, getting them out, looking at them and say, I'll put that together one day. It depends on what you derive your interest and your joy from, and that could just be collecting. But there's a lot of people that I know that have invested heavily in a game and played one game, if any games, and then they just sell it again because they're like, I'll never get around to playing that. And I don't know, I think that happens a lot. I'd be very interested, I've not mentioned this for a while, but I'd be very interested to do like a massive questionnaire on how many models do you have that you've never played with, and how many models have you played with but less than 5 times. I think there'd be a lot. I think there'd be a very high percentage of models that have been bought and never played with, or bought and played with less than 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with myself, it used to be, I'll buy all this stuff and, I'll play with it lots. And then I don't play with it lots, but then eventually I do. I can honestly say there's very little in my collection, other than the new stuff that I got for my birthday, and anything that I got, and I haven't even got in for my Christmas, that I haven't played with at least 2 or 3 times, if not 5 or 10 times. It's one of those things that, and also now, the older that I'm getting and the less money that I have to spend, I go, well, I can't go out and buy anything that I'm not going to play with.
But it's hard that though, isn't it? Because there's so many amazing things that come out, and it's a constant challenge for me. It's interesting because I want to keep abreast with it, and I want to keep up to date with the releases and things. Yeah. But then it's impossible to keep up with these things. Even if you did it full time, it'd still be very hard to keep on playing these games. So we're constantly being bombarded with amazing stuff, which is great, but also a pain in the ass a lot of the time as well, because it's just like, what now? What next?
Well, when the new Genestealer Cult stuff came out, I was like, I want it, and then I saw the price of each individual character model, and I was like, it can wait until I'm actually going to build the army. Yeah. That was it, because next year or the year after, can't remember. I have a plan with lots of stuff, but there is the plan to build Imperial Guard / Traitor Guard / Genestealer Cult army, so you can use lots of the stuff in the same from the same army, and so that is a big plan. But then I saw the price of these figures, and I'm like, they're beautiful, I want them, but no, not right now. Thank you. And it was the same with what's the new box set? Shadowspear. I was like, I love those figures, but then they slapped the £105 price on it, and I'm like, nope. Even for my birthday.
The thing is with the strange of that, and I it's not necessarily a criticism, but I wonder how deep the gaming experience is within the box, if that makes sense. Because I heard that there's a campaign in it. There's like a few missions in there and a campaign tree. Yeah. But I wonder how deep that is. If I take like the V Commandos game that I just mentioned before, it comes. I think it's like $80 Canadian. I don't know what the translation is for that, but it's not expensive. 50 quid maybe. Something like that.
Probably about 50.
And there's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of content to engage with. So that $60, $50, £50, whatever it is. Yeah. It's well spent because the hours that you use it it costs very little. So say if you buy a pays for itself. The longer you play with it, the more cost effective it is.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, with all of these box sets that keep on coming out from various companies, not just DW, like how long is it going to hold your interest?
Yeah.
Is it actually going to work out to be cost effective? Is it actually going to be value for money? Or is anyone going to buy that and actually play the campaign? Is anyone going to buy that and use both armies? Because the majority of people that I've seen on all my social media streams are like, I need someone to split this box with.
Yeah.
So why put it together in a box with two things? And then the end game that I come to is they just want to sell you more stuff.
Yeah.
So you buy a box, you need half of it, and then you have to sell off the rest of it. They don't care because they got more money out of you than they would do usually if they sold it individually. I don't know. Maybe that's a pessimistic view, but no. Is anyone talking about that? You know,
Yeah.
I'm very proud to be independent and just to voice my opinion, not because I think I've got anything that's amazing to say, but I've not heard anyone actually give a really good, completely unbiased, critical analysis of that box and very many other boxes. A lot of the reviews and the unboxings that I hear are just, it's amazing, it's great, fantastic, you should go and buy it.
Yeah, this is the thing. The last podcast I did, I talk about the new BattleTech box sets, which I actually had a discussion with somebody on the Paint All the Minis Facebook thing about the price and the value of it. I love BattleTech. I'm always going to tell people play BattleTech, but in my opinion, looking at the figures, looking at the quality of knowing the quality of the plastics that they've used in the past, I'm like, it's not worth the £50 that it will be. You're better off going to buy the metals and going to buy the rule set, but that, that's my opinion, and I'm always going to voice my opinion. It's never going to be I talk about Lux APS all the time because I use the products, and I'm like, I love the products. But if there was a product that he brought out that I thought, shit, I'd tell you. It's
a dangerous game because you don't want to, you'll know this, we're doing a podcast now, is that if you make something, you put a little bit of yourself into it. There's a little bit of you in your podcast. And there's a little bit of vulnerability there, because you're putting it out, you're not really sure what people are going to say, you're not really sure how it's going to be received. It's a punt, it's a gamble, you're not really sure. I know that because I've done it with my podcast, and it's not nice, even if you agree with the criticism, it's not nice to be criticised. Anyway, you want to get told that it's great and that you're doing a great job. So you do need to be careful. We need to be careful. That we do voice our opinion, but the way that it's voiced needs to be important. But it is something that started to wind me up a little bit. Is like when people are doing these unboxing reviews, is it A, good? Is it B, actually honest? And also, what are people looking at when they're unboxing things or doing a review? And I think that maybe depending on what you're getting out of it, because I watched a review of the Shadow Spear box, and out of an hour and a half review, they spoke about the campaign for 30 seconds. And the majority of it was talking about points and rules changes. And so that, if you're a competitive 40k player, that's great and that's amazing, and maybe the review was kind of put in that context because the people knew that they were making a video that the people watching it, that's what they were interested in. But I don't know, it's just really interesting, as a content producer, and I wouldn't claim to be professional in any way, shape or form, I just do this for fun, but it just interests me, like, is this actual critical analysis, an actually informed choice, and actually honest viewpoints. And sometimes people get shouted down because they say, I don't like this, and people say, you're just being negative, or you're just, sensationalising things. But I don't know if there's that many actually independent reviewers around. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. If you do you watch Luke's channel at all?
Little bits and pieces here and there,
I know he's a member of the group on Paint on the Minis, but when he does these reviews, it's like, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like it. Or, I'll be honest with you, I love it. Or I'm in between. He's always honest about it, which is good, because when somebody's honest about it every time, when they tell you I don't like it or I do like it, that the next time they do a review, you watch it and they tell you it's great, it's going to be great. A lot of people are giving him a lot of shit for starting his own company with all his own products and stuff, and back in the beginning, it was all about saving people money, but it's still saving you money. You're still saving you money on if you don't have the time or the money to go out and build, well, not necessarily money, but the time to go out and do all this stuff yourself. You're still saving money on the next.
But then equally, you don't have to agree with it. You can. I think respect is probably a better word.
Yeah.
You respect the fact that he's independent. You respect the fact that you respect his opinion, but you could listen to what he says, and he could say, "Oh yeah, I love this. This is great. This is fantastic," and you could still come away from it and think, "I don't agree with you."
Exactly.
Well, that's fine. That's not a problem. You don't have to agree with somebody. And sometimes I find in life that sometimes I do agree with people.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't. That is what's interesting. But there, you're right. If someone's actually, you've got to hear someone say, "I don't like it."
Yeah.
I mean, but I watch so many videos, and it's incredibly rare that someone actually says, "You know what? I'm not sure if I like this. I don't know if it's for me." And that rarely happens. And so I find that I just watch less and less reviews because I just don't feel it's an actual representation of what someone's actual feelings are. Nothing in life is ever perfect, and not everything in life is great. It's not all happiness and sunshine and roses, and everything's amazing, and you never make a mistake. Sometimes you drop an absolute bollock, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, it is. Yeah, sorry about that, guys, and let's fix it for next time. It's just an interesting world of reviews and unboxings. Yeah. And another thing is, a lot of people do unboxings, but they never do anything with the game. So you get to see, what's inside it, but I don't want to see that. I want to see a full circle. I want to see them unboxing it. I want to see them painting it. I want them to tell me their feelings after they've painted all the models, and then I want them to play it a few times, and I want to watch it a few times, and then I want them to say, okay, after having done all these things, this is how I feel about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I did the unboxings. I know the games have been out for ages, but I did the unboxings of all the board games I got recently, and then I played them, and I've uploaded on the YouTube channel me playing them. The sound might be shit, but that's another thing altogether. But I mean, it's the same. It's the reason that I don't edit out the swearing when I talk. It's me being me, so it doesn't. It's an honest thing. If I enjoy playing the game, then I'm going to tell you I enjoy playing the game. If I tell you I didn't enjoy it, for certain I'm going to tell you I didn't enjoy it, and I'm going to be annoyed that I spent all that money buying it. And I'll be honest about it. I mean, there is games that I played the first time and I really enjoyed it, and then I kept on playing them, and then going, I don't enjoy this as much. Why don't I? I mean, it's the old adage about drugs. The first time's always the best, but I mean, I love BattleTech now as much as I've ever loved BattleTech, if not more. Same with Malifaux. And the new 40k, I'm enjoying it more than I enjoyed 3rd edition. I love Infinity, but it's that thing. You got to be honest with yourself, and you got to be honest with everyone else. If you enjoy it, if you don't, that's the thing. And I will tell people, yeah, I enjoyed it, or I didn't enjoy it. That's it. At the end of the day, you can't not be honest, because you're going to get caught out.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything in life. You say you're in a relationship. There's no point lying about being in a relationship. So, oh yeah, it's great. I'm having a great time, because the only person you're kidding is yourself. Really, at the end of the day,
That's it.
Yeah.
No. Okay. I don't know. Have we got any other questions? Oh, board gaming. Do you do any board gaming other than the Silver Tower? I know you do Silver Tower, but have you ever done anything else other than that?
No, like I say, that V Commandos is kind of like a board game, and I find myself that I'm kind of drawn to them more and more. And the reason why I'm drawn to them more and more is this idea of like a self-contained entity, which is a little bit easier to travel with, a little bit easier to pick up, a little bit easier to introduce other people to. So I love minis, I love painting minis, but I love tabletop war games. But sometimes, you just want to play on a table. You don't want to, because I have these 2 big plastic fold-away tables now that I play on. Some nights you want to play a game, but you just don't want to set up the terrain and set up the tables and roll the neoprene mat out. So it's an area that I've been looking into a little bit more. And there's lots of what I've noticed actually is that it seems like companies are understanding that, and they're making lots of hybrid games now. If you look at a lot of Kickstarters over the last year and a half, 2 years, the Steamforged did Resident Evil 2, Mythic Games did Joan of Arc, Mythic Games also did Solomon Kane. There's Reichbusters. There's Space Hulk. Still a classic and still quality. So there's lots of kind of what you would class as board games that have minis in. So I'm really excited about trying more of those moving forward in the future. And there's something about like kind of standalone boxed entities that I really enjoy, alongside a couple of tabletop war games. I love the kind of open-endedness of tabletop war games and list building and lots of different options. But sometimes I just like Blood Bowl as well. Love Blood Bowl. Just little self-contained box. There's two teams. Here's the racing rules. Right, crack on. There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, Blood Bowl, my first ever game, because that's what I started out with. My dad bought Blood Bowl. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was the month it came out. August 1988. I think. I've still got. I've still got the White Dwarf sitting in the house.
Nice.
Is it in my house now? I don't know. Can't remember. I mean that was the second edition Blood Bowl, because everyone makes the mistake that it wasn't. It was first edition was the one with the polystyrene pitch, but yeah. I mean, that's way back in the day. I mean, it is self-contained game, which is good. You don't need to go out and buy all the new the teams that come out, especially the Halfling one that's just about to come out. People are up in arms about the fact that it's not got Tree Man in it. It's like, well, it's a Halfling team. It's like
and the card, like in the base set, you get like the Orc team and the Human team, and you get like the stat cards. Yeah. But I bought the Dwarf team, and I opened it up, and it's got the Dwarves in it, but it's not got the stat cards. And I looked at the stat cards, and they're like £25 just for some cards, and I'm like, really? And I really want them. Like, the hobbyist and the collector side of me says I really want the cards, but do I really want to spend £25 on a bit of paper? It's just annoying. That's annoying.
Yeah, I mean that's why I have got the Orlocks and the Van Sars for Necromunda now. And I'm not buying the cards. I'm like, no, we don't play with the tactic cards anyway, so it's like we just play the game without the tactic cards. So it's like, no, there's no point in me going out and spending that money or getting the different dice, because I can't even remember how much the dice sets cost, but they go out of print and they go in at print, and they go out of print and they go in at print. It's like, no, bugger that.
I think we all want it, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I was saying, when I bought the Dwarves, I wanted the Dwarf dice, I wanted the cards, and I think that's why you can't be negative towards a company that's like that, because I think they market it very well. They know the addictive nature of collecting. It's kind of like they know us better than we know ourselves, and it's very hard to resist that. But it's just it's silly money, especially living here in China, and the cost of living here is very, very different to what it is back home. The average wage is very different to what it is back home, and if you actually look at the average monthly salary here in China compared to what like the Dwarf cards cost, it's obscene. It's obscene how much it costs.
Yeah.
And if you think about, I think there's 2 billion people. There's a number of billion people that earn like less than $20 per month, and I don't want to get into politics or world stuff, because I still buy these minis for a crazy amount of money, but it just you've got to ask. I always ask myself the question, do I actually want this? Do I need this? Am I going to use this? Because I think there's just so much wasted money, and I think there's so much hobby stuff which is far, far too much money.
Yeah, that's true. The thing I was saying about the board games and everything, I started playing Starflux. It's a card game with my Mrs. Fiona, and that among other things like Catan and stuff like that, to steal a word from Will Wheaton when he did the tabletop web series, it's an infection vector. It's a way of getting people into gaming that wouldn't necessarily be involved in it. It's like Cards Against Humanity. That I get headaches from laughing so much when I play Cards Against Humanity, but it's a good way of getting people to play games. Yeah, because who doesn't want to say stuff like that? I mean, the Cards Against Humanity has, but you've got to have those kind of infection, as I said, infection vectors to get people into gaming. Because
it's breaking down. It's two things. It's breaking down any potential stigma that there might be. Like if you think about, I've had this firsthand. moved to a new country, I moved to a new place of work, and I started mixing with colleagues. And once I kind of got to know a few friends, I kind of mentioned that I played tabletop games. It just naturally kind of came up in conversation, and it's always tabletop games. What are they? And so you have to explain. There's like little plastic men, and you have to paint them, and then you roll dice with them. And the initial kind of reaction is one that like it's a little bit comical, and you have a bit of a chuckle, and you go, "Really? You know, you're an adult. Is that not a kid's game?" But then, kind of, one person I talked about, and he showed like a passive interest, and we played our first game, and now he loves playing games. But there's a little bit of stigma attached to it. But it's also, getting into people's minds. One thing that always interests me is how many people could play tabletop games that just don't necessarily know about them or don't know anyone else that plays them. And that's my kind of big question in this world of hobbying, is that like, is the market saturated? Is everybody who could be interested in these games, are they aware of it and they've made a decision? Or are there thousands of people who would be potentially interested but just don't really know about the games or don't know how to start?
Well, I mean, that's the thing that people are like, well, gaming is much more, what's the word?
Niche?
No, it's less niche. What's the word I'm looking for? It's more mainstream than it's ever been. And you're like, well, but at the same, because people like Will Wheaton and the Big Bang Theory and stuff like that, people know about these games more. And you're like, but at the same time, yes, there are guys that look like Joe Magni. I can't even pronounce his name. The guy that's going to be Deathstroke. Is it Deathstroke? Deathstroke in the DC movies. He's a DM and a big, a celebrity DM for loads and loads of different things. Guy that looks like that, guy that looks like me. There's a lot of difference between that. Don't get me wrong, I used to look more like him when I was training full time, but but at the same time, that's the thing. I did train I trained in martial arts. I did jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and wrestling and stuff for years until I proper fucked my back a couple of years ago. But I still played games, but I had always played games. That's the thing. Has he always played games? That's what you tend to find, the guys that look at him, or how I used to look, like Vin Diesel and guys like this. They used to play, and they've always played. That's why they still play. Even though the big movie stars or TV stars or whatever it is, they've always played, so that's why they still play. Whereas
it's interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how the industry develops. I read an article just the other day that was saying there's been a kind of retraction in growth in the industry because it's that people at shops are struggling with supply and demand. Is that shops don't know what's going to be popular until it's released. So shops find it hard what to stock, and they're finding it hard to judge what's going to be popular, so they can't afford to stock loads of games that don't sell because they'll go bankrupt. But then equally, once a game does become popular, then there's no copies of it anywhere. So it's like the companies and businesses and small business owners are struggling to kind of keep up with supply and demand, and a lot of them are going bust because of it. It's I don't know. It's interesting, and it's not just in the hobby industry. It's kind of like the world over. It's a lot of people are buying online. A lot of people are not going to that high street. A lot of people looking for good deals. A lot of people are suffering with wage growth stagnation. So it's interesting what's going to happen with it. There's big second-hand markets, and the market is just added each month more and more games out there. There's more and more choice. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it over the next few years. I'm sure there's going to be some great things that happen, but unfortunately, it might be some bad things that happen too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at Mythic Games. They've anything they Kickstarter is Kickstarter exclusive now, because when they did Conan and what was the one after it? Can't remember what the one after it was. Was it the Greek god one?
Pantheon,
They had so many problems with getting retailers to actually buy the games because they bought them through the Kickstarter, the retail packs, and then they're like, oh, it's not selling as much, so we're not going to buy as much and all the rest of that kind of stuff. So but at the same time, you've got things like Gloomhaven where you can't keep it in the shops. You literally can't keep it in the shops. It's so popular, but it's bloody expensive. It's like £150 a shot. for each box set.
Have you seen how big it is? It's like about the size of my apartment, mate. The box is huge.
I've seen it, and I'm like, fuck me. But that's the thing. Well, I mean, that is probably worth the £150, but it's having that initial £150. But yeah, I mean, that's a popular thing, and then you got the stuff that isn't as popular. Nobody knows. Because obviously the guys that do Gloomhaven, I can't remember the names off the top of my head.
Who made Gloomhaven? Yeah. Well, it's Isaac Childress, the guy who made it, wrote it. I'm not sure who produced it, what company.
Yeah,
it'll be Cellofair game. Cellofair.
So they obviously didn't anticipate the amount of people that play it, so they're trying to catch up, and they can't catch up as quickly as they need to catch up. So but I'm sure it'll be one of those games that people are playing for years. But I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Everything's about supply and demand.
And it is super interesting, and it's just interesting just to learn about the industry, because I don't think it's like the sport industry. I'm a big football fan, and I support Preston. And if you talk about brand loyalty, I could go and get a Manchester. If I lived back in England, I could go and get a Manchester City season ticket for cheaper than I could a Preston North End season ticket. But I would still buy a Preston North End season ticket because that's the team that I support. So it's interesting how industries develop and grow and expand and develop, and the tabletop game industry is a similar one as well. And one thing I've noticed about it as well is how small it is.
Yeah.
It's a very small industry, really, and you'll probably find that as you do more and more podcasts, you realise that everyone knows everybody, and your reputation precedes you. Even in my kind of small scale operation, people know of you, and they say, "Oh yeah, I know such and such who you spoke to a few weeks ago," and so it's really important to be nice, and it's really important not to be fake or sycophantic, but it's really important to get on with people, because it is such a small industry, which is great in many ways, because I found that everyone's really nice. Yeah. Everyone's really nice, and everyone's really positive and things like that. But there's a very small amount of people that are doing this. And if you think about if 1,000 people buy a game, one person's wrote it. So if there's 1,000 games that are released over a year or 2 year period, that's only 1,000 people that are writing those things.
Yeah.
So there's a very small amount of people that are doing it, and that's interesting too. And I still think a lot of these businesses are cottage industries. So not talking about huge multinational corporations on the stock market with billions of pounds worth of turnover. You're talking about one or two guys in a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was talking about Twitter earlier on, and just starting out on it and all this, that kind of thing. You'll find a lot of people on it that are, they do one person operations that make, figures or D&D modules or all these different things. And it's one person doing this thing because it's something they love, or it's something that they haven't found a lot of that they want to have, or that's it. I mean, there's a couple of guys at the Falkirk Club that I'm a member of that have their own miniature making companies. I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head, but it's one of them's a guy and his brother, and the other one's a guy on his own. Burns Miniatures is, but these are guys that have looked at the 28mm market and gone, well, these figures aren't in this market, so I'll put together them myself, I'll sculpt them myself, or I'll get somebody to sculpt them, and they've released them. That's it. They've looked at the market, not seen what they want, and gone and did it themselves, and then marketed to other people. So that's the thing. It's a lot of people. It's a passion project. A lot of people. It's not how they make their money. It's how they make, how they have fun.
I'd agree with you. Yeah, a lot of people that I've spoken to, it's very much the same thing. It's something that they just do because they love it. Yeah. Something because they've got expertise in a certain area through their day job, and they just expand out from there and see what happens. And that's amazing that is possible. Isn't it? It's amazing that people can do that. It's amazing that people are willing to do that too. Mm-hmm. Not only hold down a day job and do high-powered jobs, or even just a mundane job. They hold down, they keep the lights on with doing the day job, and then they come home and and they'll write something, or they'll playtest something, or they'll sculpt something. It's great that happens, because if people were lazy and didn't bother, then we wouldn't have half the things that we would have today.
No, that's it. No, the tabletop industry, and this is probably weird, but it's built on the people. It's not built by the companies to a certain extent. People are always going to want what they want. You're always going to have Games Workshop. I've heard the arguments that they're going to price themselves out of the market for the last 20 years. They've not priced themselves out of the market yet. They're not going to do it. You're always going to have Games Workshop, but you're always also going to have the little companies that are going to pop up and go away, and things are going to go missing and all the rest of that kind of stuff. But it's always going to be there, because it's the people that make it. It's the passion of gamers that make the hobby, and that's it at the end of the day. Axe has been talking for about an hour and 45 minutes, so
yeah, I'm happy to hold it there, mate.
We could talk for hours and hours. I mean, that's the thing. I love talking about gaming, and I love talking to people about gaming. That's why when I was on the podcast with you, I was inspired to do the YouTube channel, and then I thought to myself, well, I enjoy doing that. Why don't I do it myself? That's that I will say you're the inspiration behind it, but at the same time, it's been my inspiration as well.
Yeah, it's great, mate, isn't it? It's just interesting to do. Like we just mentioned there, it's something that you probably do anyway. You probably chat to people in your local area about games. So all you're doing is just formalising that a little bit more, and putting it out there. And I've always said with anything that I've done, doing it is interesting for me. So if 5 other people engage with it and they find it interesting too, then it's served its purpose. And I think sometimes people fall into this trap of having really high expectations or unrealistic expectations about what this is going to be or what it's going to grow into. But I think you just have fun doing whatever you're doing, and just go with it. And if it remains just 10 people listening to it, then that's 10 people who are interacting with something that you've done, and that's a big difference. 10 people is a big deal, and you never know why. The thing I've realised is you never really know what the other people that are listening to you do are feeling or doing at the same time. And it's the same way that I might have had a really bad day, and then I speak to you and I forget that bad day because I'm talking to you about doing mini stuff. So it's just about doing what you enjoy and doing something that you like, and just throwing it out there if you want to. And there's a lot of podcasts that I've recorded with friends or whatever, and I just never released because it just didn't feel right to, or I didn't feel a need to, because it was just a nice chat that you had, and it's not about views or likes or downloads or getting sponsorship or getting to 1,000 fans or whatever so you can monetize. It's not about any of that. It's just about us all sharing our passion and enthusiasm for what we do in our own little way.
Well, that's the thing. I think I've had 150 listens or something like that in 2 months, and I'm like, well, if I had, it is about 2 months, so if I had 60 listens in 2 months, I was going to be happy. So if I have one person listen to it a day, that's fine. That's great. I don't mind. If people are going to enjoy it, then that's great. But I'm doing it because it's something I want to do. I want to talk about gaming, and I'm the same.
How have you found the process of
it? I found it a little bit weird, because obviously up until now it's been me talking myself and recording it. And there's been, same as you, there's been a couple of episodes that I've recorded when, I'll be honest, I've been in a bit of a shitty mood, and I've recorded it, and I thought, a lot of that's a bit, I went back and listened to it. I thought, no, I'm not releasing that, because that's me just being in a shitty mood and being a shitty person.
Ranting.
And I don't want to be that person. But there's also sometimes that I start recording things, and then I'm like, I'll lose my train of thought. If you've listened to any of them so far, you'll know fine well that I just go off on tangents. But I can't. I'll stop myself and go, I have to stop here and go back, because I've just mumbled for like this amount of time. But no, it's been
it's hard, isn't it? It's hard. It's difficult. intros and outros.
Yeah.
Because I just forget what to say, and I've got a whole. I'm not sure if I'll ever see the light of day, but every time I kind of mess something up, involve a lot of swear words, I save it, and so I've got all these outtakes, and for me, just basically messing things up and swearing and laughing and things, and it's really annoying. Even saying things like and tutting, I go quite a lot, and I say and I just, you can hear yourself doing it, and it's really annoying, but it's an art in itself, and so I've come away from it with a massive respect for radio presenters and TV presenters, especially live TV.
Oh, aye.
They're amazing. And news reporters, like on TV, they read the news at 10 and things. It's just amazing amount of respect, just utter professionals, because it's an art in itself. It's really difficult to do.
Yeah, well, the amount of times that I recorded the intro to this is ridiculous. I think it was about 20 times, because I kept on stumbling over what I was saying, and I'm like, but it's every time I do it, the intros and the outros. Is that how you? Yeah. Every time I do them, I'm like, nope, I have to go back. I try not to edit as much as I can.
Yeah.
Same with the YouTube channel. You're going to hear me swear, because I swear. That's that at the end of it. I can't not. If I really concentrate, I can not swear, because obviously around my nephew I have to stop myself, and my niece I have to stop myself, but I can't talk the way I talk about games if I don't. If I try and stop myself, so it's it's not going to be for everyone, because I swear a lot, but that's fine.
But then again, you do what's right for you, and you do what you do what fits for you, and again, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are drawn to that. There's going to be a certain amount of people that go, that's not for me, and either of those things are okay, and that's why it's super important to do it for you, and not for anybody else, and I found that the wheels do quickly come off with people who do it for other people, and it's quickly apparent that they're not doing it for possibly the right reasons.
Well, I mean that's the thing. I thought it's something that I want to do. I think it's going to be fun, so I'm going to do it. I mean, when we did the actual play of the real play, I can't remember how I put it, of Infinity, first game of Infinity. It's like, well, it's either going to be good or it's not going to be good, and I really don't care, because I want to do it, and I want that. It's the same thing with the new group that I'm putting together. We're going to do that from the beginning as an actual play RPG. It's going to be on the same podcast channel. It's probably going to be weekly, alongside all the other ones that are releasing on Monday. But I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be good for them as well, because they're brand new, being able to listen to themselves and think a little bit differently. I don't know whether that's the right term, but they're going to listen to themselves. They're going to hear how they play, and all these kinds of things. But it's also going to be able to be a good thing for notes, because I'm terrible for keeping notes when I'm GMing or I'm actually being a player when I do RPGs. So it's going to be good for me to go back and go, right, okay, that's how far we got, or that bit we can go back to, or all these different things. But also it's going to be good for them getting into their characters and learning their characters a wee bit more. But also, I listened to a few actual play podcasts, and way back in the beginning they weren't that great, not play wise, but audio wise and professionalism and whatever you want to put in it. But as they've got better, as it's gone along, it's got better, and they've got better at it, and they seem like they're actually having more fun now. Even though it sounds more professional, it sounds a bit more polished, they sound like they're having more fun, and that's what it's. I know you're probably having loads of fun doing it, but when you listen to the older ones and the newer ones, you sound like you're having more fun the longer you go on.
Yeah, you naturally, it's about getting more competent at doing what you do. I'd like to think you're a little bit more competent. It does depend on the guest. It depends on the person you speak to. I remember the first few episodes. Yeah, you're right. It's a little bit more wooden, because you're having to think about everything you're going to say, and you're trying to listen to the response to the question you've asked, because that's important. Yeah. But then you've got to think about the next question you're going to ask, and then you've got to think about not talking too much, but then you've got to talk. You can't let people ramble on too long. So there's all these different things that you're thinking about. But it's like driving a car. I remember when I first learned how to drive, I couldn't have the radio on.
Yeah.
And if I was driving with any friends, I was like, they couldn't speak because I needed to concentrate. So I remember even like my mates would just like listen to some music. I was like, you just need to turn the radio off. And they're like, why? I was like, because I need to concentrate on the road. Do you want to crash and die? Or do you want to just be silent and get there? And whereas now, I can kind of like, drink a drink and listen to radio and have a conversation. So I think naturally, as you do something more, you get more comfortable with it, and it gets more natural, and it gets, you get more competent at it, and you're able to do more things. Like, I mean, we've been having a conversation. I've been painting, and that's happening more and more. But in the first 75 episodes at least, I couldn't do anything but listen to the person because I needed to concentrate on it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I didn't want it to sound wooden, so I had some questions written down, and then some of them were off the cuff. It was just like, well, throw that in because something I want to know, something I'd like to talk about,
And naturally, some things pop up, because it's someone responds to a question. You might think, I never thought that would be your answer. So let's talk about that a little bit more. And that's an art in itself. Holding a conversation is hard.
Yeah.
Think about I've always been terrible at going to parties and speaking to people who I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just rubbish because it's like, what do you say? And there's a lot of people that can't hold a conversation. So you'll try and you go, hey mate, how's it going? And they go, fine.
Yeah.
And they don't say anything else. And so it's hard to maintain that conversation. And so that's an art in itself. Just learning how to treat different people and how to make them comfortable and how to make them happy. I'm not saying I'm great at it. I'm not, but it's interesting. That is a hobby in itself. Just learning how to speak to people and how to get them to relax themselves so you can relax too. Yeah,
well, I mean, I think a lot of, with me, having done the door for as many years as I did, I think that it's more natural for me holding a conversation with people than it would be for a lot of people in the hobby, because I know a lot of people in the hobby are a little bit more like yourself, a bit conservative, a bit, reserved. That's it. At the end of the day, if you can make people feel more comfortable when you're talking to them, that's half the battle when you're working on a door. So you have to learn it very quickly, or you end up in lots and lots of trouble.
Anyway, mate, I need to shoot off now.
No problem.
Alright, mate, it's great talking to you.
It's really
great
talking to you,
cool.
mate.
It was awesome.
Right, see you later, mate. Thank you.
Alright, well, have a good one. Yeah,
You
let
too.
me know when it's all edited up and let me know when it's released. Alright, it'd be nice to know.
Yeah, no problem. Speak to you later.
Alright, take it easy, mate. Bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it, folks. That is 2 hours almost of conversation with me and Dan on the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy. As we said throughout the podcast, both of us, really enjoyed that conversation. It was a long time. It was a long time. We probably could talk for another 2 or 3 hours, but yeah. Again, I'd like to thank him for coming on. And if you want to know anything about Paint on the Minis, there's the website, paintontheminis.com. There's the Facebook group, Paint on the Minis. There's the podcast, Paint on the Minis Podcast Ramble. And there's the YouTube channel, which is Paint on the Minis. Dan is also on Twitter at Paint All the Mini. I think I'll check the handle and I'll put it up on the website. And yeah. So housekeeping wise, we have whatever raffle is going on at the moment. As always, it's £3. That enters you into the raffle. Whatever the raffle is right now, I'm not sure. I think it's still the Lieutenant Calcius figure, but if you listen to this later on, it'll be something else. But yeah, so that is that. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to subscribe. I encourage you to review it, whatever, comment on it, whatever. whatever you do on your platform for podcasts. As always, the YouTube channel is Yogi Dave's Hobby Podcast. We've got videos of many things. There's how-to videos, tutorials, unboxings. As I said, there's playthroughs. Battle reports. Well, not really battle reports, but sort of. And intros to different games. So yeah, I'm going to say good day and happy hobby.